Hey everyone, this is Ergo Josh and welcome again to my channel. Today is going to be the last video that I make in this studio that I'm in right now, in this home. By the time you guys see this video, I will be in my new apartment. Quick announcement before I get into today's podcast topic. Again, I'm streaming on Twitch. I just want to make as many of you aware of that as possible. Monday through Thursday, sometimes Fridays, 6 p.m. EST, all the way to 8 p.m. and even longer sometimes. Follow me. There's going to be a link in the description box and in the pinned comments as well. So just want to make sure all of you know that's where you can find me if you want to see more of my streams and what I'm working on with my art. All right, so today's topic is going to be things that I've learned during the quarantine, especially related to art, because, that's what this channel is all about. And I've made a few bullet points here that I want to keep track of. But the first thing that I want to talk about is something that I touched on a little bit in the last video, and it's about how basically health can affect your art, especially, mental health, but also physical health. So one of the things that I realized, starting with physical, is that when art is a really advanced activity. It's something that really uses a lot more of your brain than you think. It's something that will go down in quality a lot. The more tired and fatigued you are, the more stressed you are, you're just not going to be able to draw as well as you would normally think that you might be able to, especially when it comes to mental health. If you're very upset, if you're frustrated, you're stressed, that can affect your mental health as well. You have a lot of anxiety, that can affect your art as well. And during this quarantine period, I've noticed it's not so much with me, but with others looking around, seeing how other people are coping with it. It can really put a damper on their progress. And with all this free time that one may have, they might not be able to make the most of it because they're stressed or they're too worried about, making ends meet, or just worried about the virus in and of itself, worried about loved ones. And that can really negatively affect your art. Talking more about the brain a little bit, art is something that can progress to the point where it almost becomes subconscious. Well, it does become subconscious. It's like one of the first examples I've heard of this was, when people would talk about Tiger Woods and how they would scan different golf players, their brains as they were playing golf, and they would be relaxed when they're playing. And then they would look at the brains of people, or just the overall demeanor of people who are newer to golf, and they would be a lot more intense and frustrated. And so that kind of gets into this topic of flow, which you may or may not have heard about that before. I'm going to link a video in the comments as well for this. Flow is basically something where you get so focused into something that it becomes natural to you and you're not even trying very hard. And usually when you get into that state, you're creating something, you're doing something at an extremely high level, and usually the results are really phenomenal. I also want to mention a recent podcast by Art Cafe that they recently interviewed Loish, and I really recommend everyone to watch that podcast. I'm going to link that in the description as well. I'm currently working through it as I work on my artwork. You can tell that Loish definitely gets into the flow state when she's doing her work, and she's been doing that for a long time, and it makes absolute sense because not only does she make fantastic work, but she's putting out like endless content. And if you join her Patreon, you can get a hint about how much she actually puts into all of the things she does online. And she takes it quite seriously, and it's come back to her. She's going to reach 2 million followers on Instagram soon, which is crazy for an artist. Usually that's for like celebrities, and popular public figures to have, but she's an artist just like, you and I, and she's reaching that many people, which I think is amazing. But to give some examples and details about, health. So for example, with me, I'll notice that if I'm really hungry or starving, I won't be able to be the kind of calm, I won't be able to have that kind of calm sense about me that I need to be able to draw effectively. And sometimes you won't even know what that is. You have to actually learn what it is about you that can make your overall stress levels just rise, and then take the time to kind of learn, okay, am I hungry right now? Am I stressed? Is there something bugging me? Is my space dirty? Like, what can I do to chill and relax so that I can give myself, the ability to make a mistake, study it, not get overwhelmed, and then try again and then correct it and keep going back and forth like that. Because, that's the key to growing as an artist. You make mistakes and then you learn from them, and taking that initiative to, make the mistakes daily and to learn from them and then try again. So, keeping your space clean, try to make sure your relationships are in order, as much as you can within, a short time. It can be impossible. Things could be weighing down on your mind that are going to take a long time to fix. But I guess I'm just going back and forth between mental and physical. But to go back to physical, make sure you're not dehydrated. Make sure you're drinking enough water. That's something I've been doing lately. And I realized the number one biggest result for me is that, for me as an artist, I definitely can get into the flow state sometimes. But even without it, I'll just forget to drink water because I don't feel thirsty, And for some people, thirst just feels like hunger, and for some people it doesn't. But I just won't drink enough water. And then I found after dinner or after lunch every day, I'd get tired. And I just want to take a nap and I wouldn't get anything done. But now I've been drinking a lot more water. I never get tired after lunch. I just go back to work, I just go back to doing whatever I'm doing, and I don't feel like I'm wasting my day anymore. So maybe that might be a thing for you. I definitely recommend drinking a lot more water, making sure you're not hungry, making sure that you're well rested. This is huge. And, there's all kinds of things that could be affecting your sleep, but making sure you're well rested is a big, big thing. I know it's such a meme to talk about sleep and how your sleep schedule's messed up in this quarantine period, and people are just lying in bed forever and then not going to bed for a long time. But that's going to affect your art, if you're not getting quality sleep, that's going to affect your art. Now, whether or not when are you getting your sleep, that may or may not matter, but make sure you're getting enough sleep. It's really serious. It's something that most people say, oh, it's for the weak. And then when their body catches up with them, once they get into their 20s, they're like, okay, I'm going to start taking sleep more seriously. Everyone starts taking sleep seriously, like after college and all that. But it's actually way more important to do that when you're using your brain so intensely in college and for all these exams that you have to take, So definitely, and especially when you're doing your art, you do need to sleep and have your brain functioning at its highest level so that you can learn faster, which is definitely something you can do. You can speed up your process by making sure that the time that you do spend working is effective by not being fatigued, tired, all that kind of stuff. And then going into mental health a little bit, I think anxiety is one of the most common things that can disrupt your process as an artist, because you need to have a little bit of control over it so that you can take the risks and try and then fail. It's really easy, even for me, to have enough anxiety to where you don't want to fail. You don't want to have that painful experience of drawing something and it doesn't meet your standards or meet someone else's standards, and then you just don't want to draw anymore. And then sometimes that can feel like art block for a lot of people. But I really would recommend to try to look at just general ways to calm that anxiety wherever it's coming from. Maybe you meditate before you draw, or just in the beginning of the day, try to relax, find a quiet space to do your drawings at, and just give yourself time, set a time to draw without any expectations. Maybe you can do something to where you focus on improving one tiny little thing. Maybe it's you draw something a little bit faster than you did yesterday, something really small that you can measure improvement on. Because I've noticed for me, improvement is what drives me. When I see growth, that drives me. So like on Twitch, I don't know if you've been here for a while. I used to complain about Twitch and how hard it was to grow. But now that I've gotten to a place where I can grow now, I'm really enjoying it. And the effort that I'm putting into it now is very fruitful. Again, follow me on Twitch. We have fun over there. We sing Disney songs at the end of the streams, guys. So come on. But yeah, so trying to keep your mental health in check can definitely help your art. And I think that's something that we definitely can pay special attention to in this quarantine time, because we have time to ourselves and we can take time to reflect on, the past, and look forward to the future, when we reach a new normal. I'm not going to say we go back to normal, but there will be a new normal where we can thrive again. And talking about that, I wanted to talk about how some industries that I've noticed are thriving and then some are, unfortunately really suffering during this time. So for me, I'm actually thriving in this period because people are putting a lot more time into consuming entertainment overall. So people are at home, they're watching Netflix, they're getting into their hobbies, they're watching YouTube. And so, of course, as a YouTuber, I'm benefiting from that. I'd say, in a time where I'm not really trying to hustle on YouTube and, get a lot of views or get a video that pops off, I'm getting 2 to 3 times the consistent daily viewership during these past few months than I usually would. I'm also growing a lot because of that. And so because people are at home and they're like, let me just watch YouTube, and more people are discovering me. And so that's leading to a lot more sales and things like that. So I'm actually doing well during this period. But my sister, on the other hand, is doing terribly because she is in the gig industry. So she often sings at churches, and, all the churches are shut down except for some cases where they like to live stream stuff. And so the amount of gigs she's had has just gone straight down. She's actually told me some people and like higher up and with experience and contacts would basically just lose thousands of dollars worth of gigs in just a matter of days because everyone's just canceling. And, they have contracts where you can't really cancel without paying them some sort of money, but COVID-19 is basically, it doesn't care about any contracts. I guess you could say it's like an act of God in some cases, where some contracts might be written where those kind of cases allow them not to have to pay the person who's already set up the gig. So it's really unfortunate for them. So that's just 2 examples of, how some industries are thriving and some are doing really badly. Going into that, it makes me realize how much of an opportunity I've had that I haven't kind of missed out on. I mean, I haven't really missed out on it yet because it's not like COVID's going to disappear, but I wish, looking back, is like, maybe if I had released my Skillshare course now, things would have been like, because if, think about it, everyone's at home, right? And if you're not interested in art, you're picking up art for the first time. And if you are interested in art, you're interested in growing now and maybe doing something different. And so people are probably, looking for tutorials, looking for help to guide them in their footsteps. And so me, if I had, a course that I launched during this time, you can imagine that it would do very, very well. But unfortunately right now, I'm not in a position to really start or finish that course within a reasonable period of time. So knowing that about myself, I just wanted to encourage you, if you happen to be in a situation, whether maybe you don't even think you are, but maybe you can think about it, maybe find out a way that you can actually take advantage of this pandemic and turn it around for the better. I definitely want you to think about that and definitely start making moves on how to do that, like right now. It's unfortunate that it's happened. There's some things I was looking forward to this year that have been canceled. There's some things that I wanted to do this year that have been canceled. And so now I'm like, well, once I move, the next couple big things that I'm going to do are definitely going to be related to the other things I wanted to do that I was going to put on the back burner, but now they're going to be at the front, like they're the forefront. So like my website, getting closer to you guys and networking with you guys more, and collabs, and my course that I am still always talking about, but I never have out yet, my course on Skillshare that I want to do. So that kind of stuff I'm going to be focused on very, very much during this time, because I know that the amount of people who are going to be able to participate in that is going to be a lot higher during this time of the year than it would normally. This is like around the end of the year, beginning of the year, a lot of people have time and then kind of want to start things. So artists like me and YouTubers can do very well, but it's been like a consistent high for YouTubers pretty much because of this, because people are at home, watching videos. And I encourage you, if you have anything that you could think of where you could take advantage of the situation, definitely do that, and don't wait for it. So I'm actually working with someone now. She has something potentially really, really huge to release. But unfortunately, it takes time. It's not easy to do something on the scale that she's doing. But if she had released it now, it would have been perfect. It is literally the perfect thing to come out with during a situation like this where everyone's at home. But, there's still a little bit of anxiety around it. There's still a little bit of doubt. But I encourage you, don't let this opportunity go away. I think that things are always going to be cyclical, go up and down. Something like this is going to happen again. So don't see it as like me saying that, oh, there's this elite portion of people who are going to, take advantage of those who are suffering. No, it's that you might be in a position to, surpass this and not let it defeat you. And that kind of brings me to my next thing. This has really shown me the importance of saving your money and saving for a rainy day and looking towards the future. We've all been taught about that, to save your money and in case something happens. And, I've recently, I've always heard all the time, your average American has saved up doesn't even have $400 saved up in the case of an emergency. And in my experience, $400 is around the amount of money to generally take care of any issue that happens with your car. And a lot of Americans rely on their car to go to work. So that's really not a good thing. So for me, I was fortunate enough to have plenty of savings in case something happened in this situation. But fortunately, I didn't. But even if you did have savings, you might be thinking, well, the stimulus package was available, but that took forever to get to us. That took until just a few weeks ago for me to get it. So it's definitely something that, you don't want to really rely on too much external help, especially if you're in a country as big as the States. There are there are countries that are doing way better when it comes to helping the overall population, like Canada. One of my friends is in Macau, and they're giving out regular, I think a few $1,000s worth of supplement for everyone. You have tickets to get masks that you can use, and it's just so refined and established. So you may not be in a space like that. So I definitely want to relay this information about how important it is to save up for the future for something like this in case this happens again, which it will. There's going to be a recession of sorts. There's going to be, whatever the reason is, something is going to happen. We all thought World War III was going to happen in the beginning of the year, and then this happens, which is like, okay, well, it's pretty comparable to the results. Everyone's just at home now and stuck, and resources are going low. Like, I can't even get a burger anymore where I'm at. Like, they ran out of meat. You can only get chicken now. It's pretty insane how COVID has affected things. I know it can be tough to hear like, oh, you should save, and you might be in a situation where you're not able to save, especially because of the pandemic. And a lot of people are still in situations where money is tight. But it's definitely something to look and pay attention to for the future. Even if you can't right now, just keep it in the back of your mind to try to keep something going for the future. Because if you have anything that you're wanting to splurge on, maybe decide in the next, few months, you just don't do that and save that, because you never know what's going to happen. And it's just going to be such a relaxing thing. And again, going back to your art, when you have something like that saved up and you don't have to worry about the next pandemic or the next issue or the next crash, you'll be prepared. You'll have a little bit of padding to back you up in going into the future. So yeah, that's all I have to say pretty much for today's podcast. It's pretty short for a podcast. But, let me know what you guys think, what you have experienced with this situation in the pandemic. I'd really love to hear it, especially related to your artwork and your mental health and your health overall. I know a lot of people are finding creative ways to work out, since the gyms are all closed, because that would spread it even more. And let me know, how has it affected you positively if that's happened? I'd really love to know. See what other people are experiencing, whether it's negative or positive. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. And after this one, I definitely have planned to edit all of these to be a little bit better formatted for podcasts. For those of you who happen to be listening in without actually watching the video. I apologize for making all these references to YouTube and stuff, but hey, you should follow me there too. Get more out of me. But I will see you guys in my next video where I'll be showing you my apartment. And yeah, peace. Keep drawing and stay positive.